Some recordings defy explanation. Sounds, shadows, and images that chill the spine and make even the most skeptical pause. People have watched them, listened to them, and replayed them. Yet no scientist, investigator, or debunker has ever fully explained what they captured. Whispers from the unseen, figures moving impossibly across landscapes, voices from nowhere. These are recordings that haunt reality itself. The first comes from Enfield, England, 1977. Known as the Enfield Poltergeist, the phenomenon centered on the Hodgson family, particularly 11-year-old Janet Hodgson. Strange knocking sounds began in their council house in Brimsdown, North London. Doors slammed, furniture moved on its own, and Janet was often caught speaking in deep, gravelly voices that did not belong to her. Investigators, including Maurice Gross and Guy Lyon Playfair from the Society for Psychical Research, arrived with cameras and audio recorders. Their footage captured inexplicable phenomena: furniture sliding across the floor with no one touching it, objects flying through the air, and Janet levitating in front of witnesses. Audio tapes reveal knocks in response to questions and Janet's voice switching spontaneously between her normal tone and an older, male-like voice. Skeptics tried to debunk the tapes, suggesting tricks or exaggeration, but the consistency and sheer volume of the recordings, captured by multiple cameras and audio devices over several months, leave many questions unanswered. Even today, the Enfield Poltergeist tapes are studied by paranormal experts, remaining some of the most scrutinized and chilling recordings ever made. The recordings from Enfield are more than just sounds. They are moments that defy explanation. On one tape, Janet can be heard speaking in a deep, growling voice, answering questions she has no knowledge of. Furniture crashes in the background, moving across rooms as if guided by unseen hands. In another clip, witnesses captured her levitating off the ground, eyes wide, arms rigid, suspended for several seconds before gently returning to the floor. Investigators documented dozens of similar events: knocks in Morse code patterns, objects thrown across rooms, and sudden, chilling temperature drops that no one could explain. Multiple witnesses, including neighbors, police officers, and journalists, attested to seeing phenomena firsthand. Even when cameras were rolling, the events appeared real, spontaneous, and uncontrollable. Despite numerous attempts to recreate or debunk the footage, the recordings resist explanation. Skeptics claim pranks or clever editing, but the sheer volume of simultaneous audio and visual evidence, combined with independent witnesses, makes the Enfield tapes particularly compelling. The family, too, insisted these occurrences were not staged. The terror was real, the fear palpable, and the entity seemingly intelligent. These recordings, preserved for decades, remain some of the most chilling examples of documented paranormal activity. Listeners report hair standing on end, a cold sensation, and the unmistakable feeling of being watched, even from afar. With each replay, the mystery deepens. What, or who, was responsible for the Enfield poltergeist? And why does the footage continue to unsettle anyone who hears or sees it? From the haunted council houses of Enfield to the quiet suburbs of Fresno, California, the paranormal takes a different form, something captured not by sound, but by motion. Cameras caught it moving in the night, and even skeptics struggle to explain what they saw. The world recorded it, and it still cannot be debunked. In 2007, security cameras in Fresno captured footage that would perplex paranormal enthusiasts worldwide. The video shows thin, almost skeletal figures, tall, white, and eerily walking across a suburban yard in the dead of night. Dubbed the Fresno Nightcrawlers, the entities appear to glide smoothly, with legs so long and thin they seem almost impossible, their bodies remaining upright as they move silently. Witnesses, including security personnel monitoring the cameras, described a surreal experience. The creatures seem unaware of humans, yet their movement is deliberate, fluid, and otherworldly. Unlike typical sightings of cryptids, the Nightcrawlers are slow, deliberate, and hauntingly quiet. Paranormal investigators and cryptozoologists examined the footage in detail. Frame-by-frame analysis confirms the movements are highly unnatural and no wires, puppetry, or editing inconsistencies have ever been conclusively identified. The grainy video, combined with corroborating reports from nearby residents, leaves the origin of these figures a mystery. The Fresno Nightcrawlers represent an entirely different type of paranormal evidence. Entities caught on camera, moving silently through our world, observed by humans, yet entirely beyond explanation. Even today, the footage circulates online, studied and debated by enthusiasts and skeptics alike, each replay deepening the question: what are these creatures, and where did they come from? Subsequent sightings and footage of the Fresno Nightcrawlers only deepen the mystery. Residents in the surrounding neighborhoods reported seeing the same tall, spindly figures gliding silently across lawns in the early hours of the morning. Some captured photos with night vision cameras showing the entity's elongated legs and featureless bodies moving in ways no human could replicate. Paranormal researchers and cryptozoologists remain divided. Skeptics suggest clever camera tricks, mannequins, or misidentifications of wildlife. Yet, multiple angles of video, combined with independent eyewitness reports, resist debunking. Even forensic video analysis has failed to explain the fluid, unnatural movement. The Nightcrawlers appear weightless, almost ethereal, yet they are undeniably present in the recorded frame. Unlike traditional hauntings, the Fresno Nightcrawlers are silent observers. They neither interact aggressively nor retreat hastily. They simply move with an unsettling calm, seemingly unconcerned by human presence. Their origins, purpose, and nature remain unknown, leaving investigators to speculate endlessly. One thing is clear: these recordings capture something that defies explanation. Footage, eyewitnesses, and analysis converge to a single, chilling fact: these entities exist, at least on camera, in our world, and cannot be dismissed. From the soundscapes of Enfield to the silent gliding of the Nightcrawlers, reality has proven stranger than fiction. Next, the phenomenon shifts from the terrestrial to the aerial. In 1972, a plane in the skies above Florida captured another inexplicable event: the ghosts of Flight 401, a case that continues to baffle investigators decades later. In December 1972, Eastern Airlines Flight 401 crashed into the Florida Everglades, killing 101 people. The tragedy alone would haunt any witness. But what followed turned the story into one of the most compelling paranormal cases ever recorded. Pilots, crew, and mechanics who handled the wreckage began reporting sightings of the deceased, appearing as shadows and figures in unexpected places. Crew members, including Captain Bob Loft, insisted that the spirits of the crash victims seemed to linger in the cockpit. Mechanics on the tarmac reported tools moving inexplicably, gauges on grounded planes swinging without cause, and shadowy figures glimpsed through windows. Audio recordings from training sessions at Eastern Airlines captured disembodied voices calling names of the deceased, often in the familiar tones of the crew lost in the crash. Investigators were baffled. Multiple personnel described seeing figures at night walking through empty cockpits, appearing briefly in control towers, and vanishing the moment someone tried to approach. Reports were consistent across multiple locations and independent witnesses, making the events difficult to dismiss as hallucinations or rumor. What made the recordings particularly chilling were the instances where flight simulators, cameras, and radio equipment inexplicably captured sounds and images of people who had perished in the crash. The combination of audio, video, and eyewitness testimony created a body of evidence that continues to challenge skeptics. The ghosts of Flight 401, much like the Enfield Poltergeist and the Fresno Nightcrawlers, leave a haunting question. Are these recordings glimpses into a world beyond our own, or anomalies science has yet to understand? Crew members and investigators continued to experience inexplicable events for months after the crash. Pilots reported seeing shadowy figures seated in cockpits of grounded planes, their features indistinct but unmistakably human. Mechanics on the tarmac heard footsteps echoing in empty hangars and radios crackling with voices calling out names of those who had died. Audio recordings captured strange, unexplainable sounds, murmurs, whispered names, and sudden alarms that had no technical cause. Some of the recordings seemed to react to the presence of observers, with voices and noises intensifying when witnesses focused on them. One engineer recalled listening to a tape where a deceased flight attendant's voice appeared clearly, giving instructions that no living person had spoken. The persistence of these paranormal recordings defies logical explanation. Multiple independent witnesses, documented audio and video, and repeated occurrences create a body of evidence that remains unexplained to this day. The ghosts of Flight 401 join the Enfield Poltergeist tapes and the Fresno Nightcrawler footage as phenomena that resist scientific debunking. Across decades and continents, 3 recordings continue to unsettle, frighten, and fascinate. A young girl's levitation and voice in North London, skeletal figures gliding silently across a California yard, and the lingering spirits of a doomed flight above Florida. What connects them is simple yet terrifying. Reality itself has proven stranger than fiction. Watch, listen, and decide for yourself. Drop your theory in the comments. Because some recordings don't just capture events, they capture mysteries that refuse to be explained.